Hello. Hi, everybody. It's me again for, I never know when it's going live, but it's live. So I'm talking, it's live, this is happening. I can't back out. No, just kidding, I don't want to. Okay, hello, everybody. This is day 7. So yay, officially, well, after today, I will have done a week of my first Facebook Lives. So that's cool. Okay, so day 7 of my 30-day Facebook Lives. And I am Susanna, your resident narcissist recovery coach, helping one woman at a time get over her abusive ex for good. Right? We're all clear on that it's not just temporary. We're just going to get over them for good. Good morning. Yes, it's still morning here in Arizona for another 28 minutes. So yes, we're gonna we're gonna be done with them, right? Because the fact that they're gonna be on the planet with us, I guess we can't do anything about that. I'm still hoping for like a separate island for them to go on. That would be super cool. And we've been trying to put our heads together and try to figure out when they're all stuck together, because we decide, okay, no more supply. They have no more supply left, right? Because we've all been empowered and educated on what a narcissist does and the hell that they inflict onto their targets. And so the day that, yes, there's no more supply, right? So it's like, it's like a zombie land of narcissists on an island and what they would do to each other. That's interesting. That's like a scientific question. So I'd love ideas on what that would look like. Hello to Italy. That's so cool. All right. So today we're talking about the smear campaign. The smear campaign it's a horrible thing. A smear campaign by a narcissist is just so destructive and oh, it just hurts a lot of people. And it is what it is, and it happens, and every narcissist does it, and victims find out way too late after it's already started, right? So a smear campaign, for those of you who maybe this is a new word and you're not exactly sure what it is, it's basically a campaign by the narcissist because they know what they're doing. Remember, we're gonna keep repeating this so that the people in the back get it, right, and accept it, is that they know what they're doing, right? The pain that they inflict, they know what the hell they're doing. So there's no such thing. My bubble bursted when I was coming out of the relationship, out of the marriage. My bubble bursted the day that I realized, that's my phone, don't get that. The day that I realized that not all people are inherently good, right? I had functioned on that belief system for the majority of my life, and it got me into a whole lot of trouble because most people are inherently good. And what I mean by inherently good is that most people are, deep down in their core, they're just good. They don't mean to cause harm to people. Sometimes they do. We all do. We do it. We make mistakes. We do it accidentally. We apologize. We're remorseful, right? We try to make it up. That's normal. That's most people. Then you have the other people, okay? Not all people are inherently good. So that's what I'm talking about with narcissists, is they're in that group of the not all people are inherently good. So the smear campaign is a campaign on all sorts of levels, and campaign is a great word because it's literally like it's a focused attempt by a narcissist to smear your name, ruin your reputation, to create a narrative about you that serves the narcissist and hurts you. So campaign is a great word, and it's done with purpose and intent by the narcissist. Okay, we're clear on that. Does anybody have any questions? So I'm reading the comments. I'm getting better at this. It's kind of hard to like talk and focus, and then I read comments and I get a little distracted. That's okay. As my 11th grade history teacher, Mr. Gay, would say, focus on the point, Martinson. Okay, so smear campaign. Why is it so destructive? Well, it's so destructive because you don't know what's going on, okay? So like when you're in school, when you're in high school, or junior high was the worst. That's when it really happened. But when you're in school, right, when you're in your teens and whatever, and you expect, like, this is no surprise that there's gossip, that people are spreading rumors, that, you know, that stuff's going on, right? So and-so says that you're at this and this and that, and that you did this to that person, and right? So we all know that. This is on a whole other level because we don't know what's happening, okay? So I'll use my own experience as an example, which I like to do because I like to share the truth and, you know, let the darkness out. So in my case, when I had no idea this was going on while I was in the marriage, right, for 16 years, and when they're smearing you, excuse me, I need to drink water. When they're smearing you, it's to varying degrees, okay? They don't just come out. This is what it doesn't look like, okay? It's not like my ex was going to other people and saying negative things about me, okay? No, because it's not like high school, okay? So narcissists are smart. They know that if they do that, they're going to turn off a lot of people, right? They're going to turn away a lot of people because they're going to be like, why are you coming to me and talking shit about your own wife and who seems to be a perfectly lovely person, right? No. I wish that were it, right? Because that's easy, right? Because then your friend comes to you or your family member comes to you and is like, hey, your husband is like calling you a bitch and saying that you're a liar and da-da-da-da. No. It's much more subtle, and they do it in a way that paints them as the victim, okay? So, oh my God, I have like 1,000 examples in mine, but in my relationship. But suffice it to say that when I got out, I didn't know what a smear campaign was. First of all, I had no clue. I didn't even know what a narcissist was. But things didn't add up, right? And that's part of the fog that we live in when we're with a narcissist. So things didn't add up. And what I mean by that is that people would come to me over the years, especially, it got worse over the last few years, where people I knew, friends who were either couples friends, or they just started responding to me differently. And I didn't understand why. Now, these are people that, you know, if it was like my best and closest friend, I would have said, what's your fucking problem? Why are you treating me like that? Why are you changing? You know what I mean? But most of these people were not, it just didn't make sense. It wasn't a huge change, but there was something subtle about the way that they looked at me, the way they responded to me. It was weird. I couldn't figure it out, so I didn't. Right? I didn't go there. I was miserable at the time. I was exhausted. I was emotionally depleted. I had put myself into an emotional coma. So I was like, I don't give a shit about anybody or anything. I just need to get from sun up till sundown. That was the place I was in. So what I discovered after I left, right, and I had the luxury, and I can't advocate this enough. I know it's not easy to move cities, states. I get that. I know it's not. That's why I say I had the luxury that I got to move 3 states away, and I got to come back to my comfortable, safe place, my home state of Arizona. Not all people have that luxury. And I am so sorry, because I don't even know what I would have done if I would have had to stay in that small town, because it was small. Like, everybody's in everybody's business, right? You people who are in small towns, we know what that's like. Where they put, our newspaper had like, it was just like 5 pages, and they put the marriages and the divorces right next to each other every week, which was hilarious. It's like, here's who got married, here's who got divorced. And usually you know about 50% of the people in both the columns. That's how small it is. So when I got out, I started hearing things. Like, people would ask me questions, or I don't know, just say things to me that didn't make any sense, or so it culminated, and I started getting little tidbits, and of course then I started learning about narcissism, and I learned what the smear campaign was, and then it was like, oh my God, it makes total sense now, right? It makes total sense. And then the wash of just dread comes over you, because you're like, holy shit, this has been going on all the way back, right? All the way back. Crazy stuff. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of examples. I have fun examples too. And you know that he doesn't want me telling you all this, so, but we know that I'm going to keep talking, right? Sorry, not sorry. Let's all agree that that's what I'm going to do. So spread the word. Okay, quick question. Just, did he agree that I would move to another city, or did I just pack up? No, because when I first left him, I did it in a very sort of crafty way. Turns out I'm quite crafty, quite sly. I do really good detective work. It's amazing what you find out about yourself when you're put in that position. No, so I sort of eased my way out. It wasn't like a big, I'm leaving you moment. No. And he often said, I shouldn't have, you know, after I filed for divorce, he would say stuff like, I shouldn't have allowed you to leave. I'm like, yeah, well, you did. Anyway, so an example of a smear, what a smear campaign looks like. I know a lot of you already know. It's basically just like the narcissist going around and, you know, bad-mouthing you, but not in a way that's outward. And I mean, sometimes it is, you know, but it's very calculated how they do it. So an example I have is that a year or so, once I started talking on social media, once I started writing, once I started sharing my story, just a little bit in the beginning, and people were reaching out to me on Facebook. Now, on Facebook, I had like hundreds of friends from friends, right, from the hometown on Facebook, and from people from his family, you know, whatever. But so I unfollowed everybody. No offense to where I used to live, but I don't know what the hell y'all are up to up there, because I don't even know the weather anymore, because I unfollowed everybody. I don't know anything, zip, nothing. Okay, which is good, we'll get to that on another topic on another day, as far as how to heal and recover the right way. So I was out, I was talking, putting my story out there. And then out of the blue, and I get my, like, if somebody leaves a comment on my post, I don't know about all of you, but I get an email, right, that says, oh, so-and-so said this on your post. That way, even if somebody were to delete it right away, which has happened, you know, somebody will write maybe something, I don't know, an emotional tantrum or whatever, and then they write it and they hit send, and then they're like, oh shit, and then they delete it, right? Or hit post and then they delete it. So anyway, I get it. Even if you delete it, you see what you said. So there's a comment on one of my posts from my former sister-in-law. One of them. I had a few, so I'm not going to name names. But this sister-in-law had quite a few, right? 5 fingers worth. This was somebody I didn't know. I met her twice, very briefly, like 5 minutes at the most. And she lives in another state, way across the country. She had never visited us where we lived in Wyoming, never. Even, my ex, he didn't talk to her like he did his other sisters, one of them he was really super close to. So this one was just, we really had nothing to do with her. So she wrote a post. Oh my God, it was so funny. She wrote a post telling me that I needed, and I had totally forgot that I was even friends with her, because again, I unfollowed everybody, so I didn't know. So she wrote a post, something to the effect of saying, how dare you criticize my brother when, and then she went on this long list of when you used to, when your babies were born, you would just go take naps, and he would have to change their diapers and feed them. And I'm like, how did he breastfeed them? But anyway, and he would have to feed them while you just went and took naps and took vacations. And I was like, what? Where is this coming from? Right? Like, what? Like, she's never even been to our house. And he didn't even talk to her that much, and I certainly never talked to her, so she had no clue. I didn't even know she knew we had 3 kids, like that we had no relationship. Anyway, those were, and I have 50 more stories like that I won't bore you with, that are similar to that, where it's like, I was like, oh, that's the narrative that he's been spinning about me, right? So while I actually was, when I had my 3rd baby, postpartum depression, he's worked 7 days a week. I'm the one at the house all alone, changing the diapers, breastfeeding, all of this on my own, because he decided, yeah, he's going to go to work. He doesn't have time for all that. So I realized that that's how far back it went, right? Because it made him look like the good guy, right? Because, I mean, gosh, can you imagine the poor guy? The poor guy having to like change those diapers and breastfeed the babies because I was taking naps. This is what happens with smear campaign. So this is why it's so destructive, and it sucks when you're recovering and healing, because this, among all the other shit that you have to deal with, right? You're finding out this stuff, right? Because people come out of the woodwork to tell you now. I don't know why they don't come to you before. I don't know why people don't just have the guts to just come and talk to you and say, hey, so-and-so said this about you. Whatever. I don't appreciate that, y'all who were back there who knew shit, and you should have just come to me because you knew that what I was doing at home and it wasn't taking naps. Okay, so this is why it's so destructive, right? It's because it wasn't just his sister-in-law. So he created a whole slow burning narrative about me. The other narrative he was creating about me is that the small town that we lived in was in Wyoming, okay? I grew up in Arizona, okay? I wear a sweater in 65, 70 degrees, okay? Sometimes the high there is 1, okay? So I struggled. Now, made the best of it, right? And it was, I also, here in Arizona, for all my Flagstaff peeps, I also live in Flagstaff, which is at 7,000 feet. We do get snow, and it does get cold and all of that, but the sun is always shining. Like Arizona is, I know it's not called the Sunshine State, but it totally should be called the Sunshine State because we are the Sunshine State. We have all the sunshine. Like we own all the sunshine of every state. So I just wasn't used to, you know, like I mentioned, I don't know, yesterday, the day before, where the winters, you know, you're going months at a time and it's like cloudy and the snow is going sideways out my window and it's, you know, the high is, oh my God, sometimes the high was like -2. Anyway, love all you people who grew up with that and like that stuff and who are dying of heat in 80 degrees, right? Great, we're all whatever. So he took this narrative and he started telling people that I was, you know, that I hated it, that I hated living there, and that I was suffering from depression because of it. Okay. I was depressed sometimes. Okay. Because I don't want to make light of people who actually suffer from, you know, depression. I don't feel like I did. I have to say, I was just really depressed all the time because I was living with a fucking narcissist and I didn't know it. Anyway, so these are the narratives that he created about me, right? So I have a funny narrative. This my best one that I like to tell. I like to share this one. So one of the narratives that I found out, this is, you know, a couple of years after I left, is that, okay, I was suffering from depression. Well, I was crazy. Well, of course, because all exes to narcissists are crazy, right? I was emotionally unstable. What else? Yeah. There was something else. But anyway, you get the picture. I was a woman's, yeah, I needed help. Here's the funny thing. You know who we told that narrative to? The sheriff who was investigating him for stalking me, right? So even the sheriff had to laugh. Me and the sheriff, we had a good, it was the sheriff because it was a county and it was up in Wyoming. Zenvo police. Anyway, even Sheriff and I, we had to have a good laugh about that because it's like, oh yeah, he was saying all this stuff about you during us investigating him for harassing you, stalking you, cyber stalking you, identity theft, identity fraud. And that's funny. You have to admit that's funny, right? Okay, so I'm just reading the comments here of others that have, I am so sorry that you've gone through a smear campaign. God, I wish I was the only one with that story. I really do. And yes, like Bonnie's saying that her daughter she's still with him. And the smear campaign is still going on, right? Because they do it while you're with them, right? So they tell, this goes back to, remember we were talking about projection, where what the narcissist is doing, they accuse you of doing. So that plays into the smear campaign, right? Because they will tell the others that you're the narcissist, right? They'll tell family and friends that you're the screwed up one, you're the bully, you're the mean one, you're the one doing all the dastardly deeds and the cheating and the lying and so forth. So that's all part of the smear campaign. This is why it hurts. You know, it hurts. If it just happened after, like once you left them, then they started doing this shit, I think it would be easier to swallow, right? And easier to just deal with, because then you know, oh yeah, he's just pissed off because I left him. Then it's almost, it's not okay, it's not acceptable, but it's understandable when somebody does that, right? Because they've been hurt, they've been betrayed, whatever else. And then now they're like, okay. What hurts is that, like in my situation, what hurts so much is that betrayal on that deep, deep level, that here I am, for example, let's take the, you know, the attack by his sister-in-law, that she was accusing me of these horrible things, which he was telling her I was doing. And what's so painful about that is this was a time that I was suffering, right? I was hurting. I needed his help. I had postpartum depression. I just had a baby who had emergency life-saving surgery at 2 months old. I was a mess. And who doesn't need to rely on their partner to take care of them in their weak moments, right? So that's why it hurts, because you have a narcissist who is like a fucking hyena walking around a carcass, right? It's like they without any heart or conscience, they take advantage of you in your weakest moments, and then they twist those to. So was I taking a lot of naps at that time? Yeah, this is what my naps look like, because every hour and a half I had to breastfeed. So then I take like an hour, I try to sleep for an hour before I had to get fucking up again to breastfeed again. So yeah, I guess you could say I took a lot of naps compared to today. Anyway, this is why it hurts, right? It's super painful. You know, it's a betrayal. It's broken. Your trust is broken when you look back, and it's like, wow, I had no idea that, you know, while I thought we were in the boat rowing together in life, right? I was in the front. I didn't have my eye on him. He was in the back. I'm rowing, right? While he's poking holes in the boat, right? That's what's happening. So yeah, that's tough. And then to have to deal with that as it comes up when you're recovering and healing, you know, to find more stuff out and more stuff out. And oh God, it's crazy. It's awful. That's why a smear campaign is so destructive. So, and in a second, I'm going to talk about what to do about it. I wish I could say, here's how to stop it. Not going to happen, right? Until we get all those narcissists over on that island or whatever, maybe we could build a big raft or something. But until then, it's going to happen. So it's all you can do is deal with it, right? And know how to effectively deal with it. But it's still going to hurt, right? Everything in recovery and healing after narcissism, it hurts. I'm just scrolling. I'm just reading comments to make sure I didn't miss questions. All right, Bonnie's like, what new mom doesn't need naps? I know. I know. Okay, so you get the gist of a smear campaign. So, for example, and the reason that it gets, I will say that it amps up, especially toward the end. This is no coincidence, right? Like it really amped up toward the end because we were having all sorts of problems, right? People aren't stupid, and we knew a lot of people. And so they're not stupid. People know something's up, right? Because where's Susanna? Susanna used to be out all the time. She used to be da-da-da-da, and she's not. Where'd she go? Oh, I saw her the other day in the supermarket, and she looks like shit, and she looks like she's lost weight, and she didn't say much. And so this would be me. I hated. It's a small town, people. Like, you can't go to Safeway without running into somebody you know. And I had 3 kids at home. How do I not go grocery shopping, right? So this would be me, especially like the last year. You know, I just be pushing the cart, just like maybe wearing a hat, like I was a Hollywood star trying to go incognito. And then I would come up, you know, I'd see somebody. And it would be in my nature. I was just so trained at that point that I would go into, oh, everything's great. Yeah. And they would ask about, but I didn't have the energy anymore. You know, before I would be like, oh yeah, we're great. Yeah, everything's perfect and great. And, you know, no, that looked more like they'd say, oh, so what's his name doing? Good. Yeah, he's great. He's like he's great. That's what it looked like. So people knew, right? So because he was the one who was still out seeing everybody, because I was staying home more and more and more, right? And he was a dance teacher, so we had a lot of people, and he had a lot of time to talk. So that narrative, was amped up about how I was depressed, how I was. Then what it turned into, okay? So there was a turning moment, a catalyst to me leaving the first time, okay? This was the catalyst. And so when I left, and we weren't like officially separated or anything, we were still going to try and work it out, but I was in Arizona now, and we were going to try, but it wasn't working. So during that time, that's when the narrative really amped up, because he had to think up something, right, as to why his wife took his kids and left him. You can guess what the story is, right? What's going to make him the victim better than his wife? Poor me. His wife took the kids, who he had, by the way, no interest in. He even told me, he's like, I kind of lost interest in the family there for a while, a couple years. But what better story is that, right? Wife took the kids and moved to Arizona to follow a man. Okay. This was a perfect narrative for him, okay? Not to say that there wasn't a man, like I said, with the naps, right? So you take something and you twist it around and make it so she's a horrible person and he's the victim, right? So the truth of the matter is when I had left him because of something huge, I came back to Arizona, and I was in that place of all bets are off, right? Because you talk about breaking marriage vows. He not only broke marriage vows, he broke everything. So I was like, all bets are off, right? So I looked up an old friend, a really close friend, not boyfriend or anything, but a close friend from before I knew him, right? From the past, because I had been blocked out from everybody, that I knew for so long. So I reached out, to other people too, friends and stuff like that. But anyway, so the truth is that yes, when I was separated, I was spending time with this man, okay? That's the narrative. And God knows that's an easy narrative to get away with, right? Again, I was the one that left the small town. So how easy, I'm not there to defend myself. So how easy is it for him just to go, women would cook him dinner. I mean, I'm telling you people, it's pathetic. They would bake him pies, make him cakes, invite him over for dinner and let him tell a sob story about how his wife left him for another man and took his kids and moved 3 states away. Okay, so how convenient is this story to cover up the fact that the reason I left is because, how can I say this with a little bit of grace? Okay, when I was a teenager in high school, right? This is back in the 80s, so it's much easier to buy liquor. So me and my girlfriends, we would, if we couldn't somehow convince the guy to sell us the liquor, right? Because the rules were pretty lax back then. Sell us the beer. Then we would wait outside the liquor store for some guy. It was always a guy, right? Usually like in his 40s or 50s, whatever. And we'd be like, we'd giggle and flirt and be like, hey, would you buy us some beer? And he'd always be like, sure. Well, once in a while, the old guy, 40s or 50s, who was like super old to us because we were like 18, would want to come to our parties for, you know, exchange. Hey, I'll buy you a beer. Let me come to your party, right? And we're like, okay, that's creepy, but okay. So he'd come to our parties, right? He'd soon be weeded out. The pervert would be weeded out, right, by the other guys, you know, our guy friends who are like 18 too, and they're like, why did you invite this pervert guy? Like, so they'd soon be weeded out. Anyway, people, do you know what I did? I married the pervert. That guy, I married him. I did. So anyway, this narrative, this smear campaign he was creating about me as to why I left was a convenient and helpful narrative to him to cover up the fact that he was fucking around with teenage immigrant girls who are in our town working, grooming them, right, preparing them, hoping out of the 4 of them, one of them would someday take my place, right? He could replace me. He got his wish. She did. Anyway, that's brilliant. Isn't that brilliant? Like, here's a guy, here's a pervert who's screwing around with teenage girls, and none of the town knew. Like, all of the town was like coming together for these girls to help them out because they were from out of the country. And it's like, oh, let's get them a phone. Let's introduce them to the town. Let's, you know, all sorts of people came together to help, because that was the kind of town it was, you know, that everybody sort of bonded together. Well, he, whatever we want to call him, he went above and beyond to help these girls, right? Like, well, he had to buy liquor for their parties, right? Because they couldn't get the liquor, I guess. And then he had to go to their parties, right? All this under these are one of the secrets. Remember yesterday I was saying I was just a treasure chest of his secrets. So this is something. So brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I will give him that, right? And you know what? And that's why, thank God, I had the luxury of moving out of that town. No big disrespect to the town as a whole, but there's no way, right? Because once I left, I know that there's still people that are convinced of this narrative, and they rallied around him and baked him more cakes and, you know, invited over for dinner and listened to him. He probably may have cried that I left. So, that's the smear campaign, folks. It's still going on. When one of the topics we're going to do is about parenting when you have children with a narcissist, and then we'll talk about the smear campaign that goes on with your own kids, right? They're going to badmouth you to your own kids and set them up and create a narrative about you that works against you, and it's awful. It's awful that there's no length that they won't go to hurt you, right? I'm reading. Yes. So, okay. So Charlotte is saying that I have to click see more. Her sister is a narcissist. Stopped talking to her when she called her on her bullshit, and that she was making up stories. So the sister started telling others that she was the one doing it. So she was doing the projection thing. And then Charlotte had to constantly defend herself. Yes, I know. And this is a good question. That's what I'm getting into next. So she's like, how can I, because her brother is also on board with the sister. And so how can she let people know, like her brother, that, hey, the sister is the one, the narcissist, right? I have really hard news that is not going to be easy to take. There are people that you just can't. You can't change what they believe, right? Because unfortunately, the narcissist has been doing this for so long that they've got time on their side, like they've got history on their sides. They've been doing this so long, so by the time, and you know what else they do? They set you up. So they'll say, right, oh, she's probably going to come to you and tell you that, you know, I'm the crazy one or whatever else. So just be aware of that, right? So I will tell you that I didn't waste. I knew somehow, I don't know how, I knew when I left that I couldn't spend an ounce of my time trying to convince anyone what they had already been convinced. Because here's the thing, here's what I've learned. This is really painful. It's a painful lesson, but it's also a really good lesson because it opens up your life for true friendship, real healthy people into your life, right? This includes family members. Some people, right? Some people may not even be bad people, right? It's not like a lot of them are who are listening to this narrative, you know, like my ex, this narrative he told. It's not like these people are bad people, right? That just believe him, right? I will say that there are another group of people, still not bad people necessarily, but the fence people, the people who sit on the fence, right? Who are like, well, you know, their gut instinct is, I know that people who have been listening to this narrative about me, I know their gut instinct is like, this is bullshit, right? It's bullshit. That's not who she is, right? And they know that. They know that I'm not the boogie monster in this scenario, right? But they stay on the fence, okay? That's painful. I lost my 2 closest friends because of that. Again, not because there's no judgment on them. It's just, it was too hard or not worth it to get off the fence and come to my side, right? Oh, that's painful. I have to tell you, losing friends, that was excruciating, super painful, right? Because again, mainly because I would never do that to a friend, right? I would never do that to a friend. If I saw a friend and her husband, boyfriend, somebody was treating her like shit, I would 100%, without a doubt, no questions asked, be on her side, because that's my friend, right? And now I have friends. Well, it turns out I always had friends like this, but I had pushed them out, you know. But when I open that place up, when I'm like, okay, I don't want this fence friends anymore. I don't want fence friends. Sit on the fence. And when I, you know, just remove them from my life, then that's when the 100% on my side friends, you know, like I remember soon after, if not right after, I got divorced and it was in the paper. I had my best friend from high school call me up and she's like, I am so happy you left that asshole. So even though it is super painful, what you can't do is try to convince anybody. You know, you can, I'm not saying don't even try, you know, like if you were to go to a family member and you thought maybe there's a chance they're going to listen, then go for it and say, look, and just put your story out there and say, hey, this is what's really going on. Here's where it can be painful, is if they don't believe you, right? Like how painful is that? So this is what, and it's painful with friends. It's super painful with family members. But it just goes to show you the power of using the smear campaign as a tool to take you down, right? It's what the narcissist wants to do, to take you down, make you disappear. You're much more easily controlled that way. So in my family, I spent a ginormous amount of time after I left my ex, and I spent an enormous amount of time going to my father, right? Because I needed people to be on my side, you know? So I went to my father. I went to him when he knew everything that was going on, like in the middle of a criminal investigation, in the middle of me being stalked. I had restraining orders. And he knew my story was on the front page of the Arizona Republic. I shit you not. Back in 2015, 16, I don't know. Anyway, my story, because the cyber stalking was like so vast and so huge, and it involved big company, it was crazy. So I was on the front page of the Arizona Republic. So it's not like my father could say, I don't know, right? Which a father shouldn't do that shit anyway. Even if he doesn't know, father's supposed to be on your parent, supposed to be on your kid's side. Anyway, he wasn't, right? The point was that he pointed out to me was that, well, he had always been nice to my father, and my ex had gotten to my father long before, right? Spinning tales, you know, talking about my temper and how, you know, basically just like painting him in just this great light while he's married to this emotionally unstable, crazy, depressed woman who takes naps all the time. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments here that just popped up. So yes, I see a lot of you saying how painful it is. And Kathy, she says, drop the people who sat on the fence. Absolutely, absolutely. Don't waste your time trying to convince people. You know, if they'll show you right away if they believe you or not. If they don't believe you, don't waste your time trying to convince them, because you never fully will convince them anyway. And who wants that type of person in their life, right? Like, I only want people who are all for me. We're all together. Like, we have each other's backs. Like, we trust each other. We wouldn't lie to each other. We are there for each other when we're going through pain, and we can depend on each other and stuff like that. So you don't want fence-sitting people, right? Because they don't know what, they're not picking a side. They don't have anything that important to stand up for, to get off that fence. So you don't even want those people in your life. So that's great advice. Just drop them. I say that it's not that easy to understand. It's painful. And they're not your real friends, right? Like, I have learned what real friends are. So it's worth it. This journey of, you know, going through, it's weird to say, to figure out a way that it could be worth it to go through all that pain, but there really is, because you learn some super hard lessons when you're recovering after a narcissist. But all of those lessons will benefit you in your new life, right? Yes, lost close friends. Everybody's lost, I know. And own family members. That's what's crazy. Like, our own. And then, like Marika says, you get re-traumatized all over again, right? Because it's one thing that, you know, I remember with, after I had left, and then, you know, those, especially one fence-sitting friend who, like I said, she's a good person. I still to this day don't get it, really, because I always believed she was full of integrity. But anyway, a couple years after, and this is why it's so painful, is because you have to, when you get reminded of what people do, right? That just hurts all over again. It's like you walking around with a big open wound, and somebody just comes by and like throws salt in it or pokes it, or I don't know, it hurts. So like a couple years after, when you know, this narrative's going on, even though, like I said, crazy that if people only knew what I was going through at the time, including investigations and police. I had 3 lawyers, and I had 3 lawyers in 3 different states. Okay, it was crazy. I stayed in my house all the time. I was diagnosed with PTSD. I got anxiety. It was a shit show on the highest level. But nobody knew this because he was really good at covering all that up. So when I found out that one of my closest friends ended up starting to go over, like she went over for dinner with his new supply in my house that I still had my stuff in. Like that was so painful. Don't do that to people. People, don't do that to people, right? It's not worth it. It's not worth it to hurt people like that. Okay, so what to do about it? Yeah, like we were talking. And again, like everybody's saying, that it's almost unbelievable that your own family members would do this to you, right? Like, because your family is supposed to be your family, especially your parents. Like, how does your parent turn against you, right? So that's super painful. Yeah, so what to do about it? So there's nothing to do about the smear campaign itself, right? What you can do is, this is what I did, is unfollow, unfriend, block, delete every fucking person on Facebook that's a fence sitter, first of all, okay? And then you concentrate on yourself, you live in your truth, you tell your truth, you go on, you continue recovering and healing and putting all your energy and love and compassion and patience into yourself and into your kids if you have them, right? You go into your cocoon, screw everybody else who's like trying to come in and interrupt your recovery and healing, right? You're gonna get through this. It's gonna be the hardest thing you've ever done. It's gonna be the most worthwhile thing you've ever done. I promise you, as a girl who's made it from the darkness into the light, and I will never be back in the darkness again. I promise you that it's, you will get through this. Okay. So, as always, I went way over time. I love being here with all of you. I love seeing your comments. And I love the, just that everybody here is united in, getting through this, bettering ourselves, learning how to move forward into a life that everybody deserves, right? In the hopes that someday they'll run out of supply, right? And we'll stick them, we'll figure that out. That's a detail, it's a small detail. We'll figure out where to put them. Okay, so before I leave, again, just a reminder that my book, a box of hardcover of my book is on the way. Any day, I will share the opening of that box with y'all on one of these Facebook Lives. Don't know what day that will be. But until then, if you want a free copy of my, it's on ebook to read on your computer, on your Kindle or whatever, go to my website at SusannaQuintana.com. I'm going to put all this in there because I was prepared today. And right when you go to my page, it'll pop up the offer. Okay, the other thing is that a lot of you know Chris Godinez, who is you talk about the expert on narcissists. Oh my God, the woman she is the queen. Where am I? Where are you guys? There you are. She is the queen of it all. Like every relationship. Like I focus on, I typically focus on women who are getting out of intimate relationships, right? With husbands, boyfriends, whatever else. But Chris Godinez does everything, talks about it all on her YouTube show every Sunday and also here on Facebook. And you can get more information on the Eventbrite Did I put it in? On the event page, I might have put it in twice. I did. I put it in twice. So you have it twice. But anyway, her she and I travel around together and speak to groups of people, and we're going to be in Reno next on September 13th, I think. And then the rest of our schedule is on this calendar. If you're in any of these areas, I would love to meet you in person and give you a big hug. And just come on out, because you can, it's great because you get, you know, because Chris and I not only share our story, but more importantly is you get to share yours, get some great advice, support, guidance, friendship. It's just a really nice, safe place to come together and be with friends, not fence friends, okay? We're not having that. We're not putting up with that. And then in December, we're going on a cruise, which is perfect because then we can talk about this and laugh and cry and drink and talk and laugh and drink. And then we just sail on, right? We don't have to get in our car and drive home. Okay. Last thing I'm going to put in is my scheduler. Like I said yesterday, I have a couple of spots that I opened up for this week and for Monday and Tuesday. I think next week I opened some up. A lot of the popular times go quickly, so if you want to talk to me on a complimentary call, see how I can help you, or just sometimes it's nice to talk to somebody who's been there, done that, right? Because I understand, and it's a safe place, so it just feels good, you know. It's free. Why not? What have you got to lose? So did I put that in too? And I'll put in, nope, I didn't. So there's my scheduler. Okay, we're done here. I went over time. I really appreciate all of you being here and commenting and sharing your own story and asking questions. And I'm sending, as always, sending love and hope and strength to those of you who are struggling, who are still in it. Ugh. Yeah, I remember. So I'm just sending you. I'm sending you hope, because I know in these positions it's so hard to have hope, right? It's like the way I describe it is I could see the sun, but I couldn't feel its light. So I knew it was there, right? But I wasn't experiencing it. So that's the hope that I'm sending you, is that I'm your poster girl for you can do it. You can get on the other side. It's never too late. I don't care how old you are. It's never too late, because life is waiting for you. Come and be a part of it. Okay, everyone. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Woohoo! Here's to the truth and real friends and a narcissist-free world, or at least a specific island that they can go to and eat each other. That's what I'm voting for. Okay, bye. Bye.